Are you struggling with consistency? Are you regularly, if not always, shooting over par? Can you shoot under par, but you'd like to achieve scores that you see some of the guys shooting over on the likes of TGC Tours, where you're talking 12, 13, 14 under par every round? Well, hopefully this video today can help you achieve that. Good evening everyone, and welcome along to the channel. PGA Tour 2K23 can be a frustrating game for a lot of people. Frustrating, to put it politely anyway. Even for the likes of myself, I am a long time player of the franchise from all the way back into Golf Club 1, and even I will have those very, very frustrating rounds or days on the game where just absolutely nothing goes right. But hopefully, as I say, I can shoot consistently well. It's quite rare myself personally that I will shoot around over par unless I am just really having one hell of a bad day. But for those of you guys, as I said there a moment ago, if you're struggling with consistency, if you're regularly, if not always, shooting over par, and you'd like to bring it down to be able to hit even par, or even start shooting under par, if you are shooting under par and you would like to achieve those low scores, to be a bit more competitive with those top tier players, hopefully this video will be able to help you. Now, I'm doing this video a little bit different to what I intended to do, not intentionally, but what I originally intended to do, which was a live commentary while playing around. But it was taking too long. So there's going to be a round playing in the background, and as we're going through that, I'll be able to talk a little bit better and smoother or whatnot, describing what I'm doing. But before we do get down into that, there is a couple of things to get out of the way before we actually do get down onto a course. So the first one, I do not care what swing difficulty or what assist you use in the game. If you play on the easiest swing difficulty with every single assist on, or if you play on the hardest difficulty with every single assist turned off, or anywhere in between, it does not matter. It applies to everything, or to everyone and everybody's skill level. So you paid the money for your game, you play the game how you want. But if you do want to achieve those scores, if you're struggling, again, regardless of the difficulty, swing difficulty and or in-game assists, it does not matter. It's across the board. This is personally myself, I always play on Master. There is a couple of societies where I do play on Pro because the society president has locked it to Pro. So unfortunately, there's nothing I can do there, but I do prefer myself to play on Master. So the round that you will see will be on Master Swing. It's in Crazy Canucks Society, the Course of the Week Society. And also, I never play with any of the ball sleeves. I only play with the default ball, which that society is locked to default ball only. Consumable golf balls are prohibited. Next up is to try and help you out as well, is although you might see 8 out of 10 people using the Powerhouse archetype, does not mean you have to use Powerhouse archetype. I use the Sculptor archetype myself, which you probably see on screen now, and because I do like to do a lot of shot shaping with my shots. I'm pretty sure it does affect it as well, loft and spin and stuff like that anyway. But for the likes of draw and fade, I use that in specific situations where it does actually help me a lot better than if I was to do a partial swing. So that is the one that I use. So if you're finding that the archetype, maybe play around with the different archetypes if you've never played around with them, and see what might work best for you. Find one in the middle ground, or one that you really do see a good improvement with consistency. When it comes to skills, which you should see a screenshot up now, this is the way that I have my skills set up at the moment. But again, have a good look at the descriptions. If I can get my words out, have a good look at the description of each one, and set them up accordingly to where you think it's going to work best for you. Obviously, you do have to use a certain amount before you can unlock the next tier of skills as you go up through each one. But just play around with them. If you need to reset them, it's 500 credits or VC, whatever you want to call it, to reset them and do it again. I've done it myself a few times. This is the one that I'm currently working with now at the moment. And finally then, for what I can think of at the moment anyway, before we do go out onto a course, is one thing that is very important. I've stated this back in, it was a 2K21, pretty sure I did it in that, and the Golf Club 2019 as well, as know your clubs. When you've set yourself up with your fittings, that's another thing as well. Fittings, actually, they're just popping into my head now. Fittings, you do not need to have legendary fittings all across the board on all your clubs. Find ones that are going to cater for your play style and your skill level. Like, I mean, I have all legendaries on mine. Don't need them. I was working perfectly fine with a couple of epics, and there were some just the rares. I think, yeah, they're the blue ones, and some commons. I was working with them for a while, working perfectly fine. But anytime I was changing my fittings, I personally myself, I had to go in and then go and get a feel for the clubs again, for how they were acting with the changes that I've made to the fittings. So that is one thing, is to get to know your club. So just hit up that driving range or the practice facility for a while. Just keep hitting the shots, shot after shot with different clubs, and get a feel for how they are with the timing and the swing line and tempo, all that sort of thing. Very important to know exactly what your clubs are going to be doing, how the ball will act on the greens and such, with different speeds and firmness. And what you can do, I didn't do it myself in this game, but what a lot of people do is they make up their own little sort of dummy course, little practice facility in the designer, but they won't publish it, where they're able to change all the different settings, so they can have the greens at different speeds and firmness, change the winds, the different directions and strengths, and get a feel for how they're going to act that way. So without delaying on anymore, we will get ourselves out onto the course. And as I say, I'll go through, basically what I want to do during the video is just basically go through my mindset of how I approach every single round. Whether I'm having a great day or whether I'm having a bad day, I always do the same thing, but just sometimes things just don't work out the way that you do intend it to. So here we are on the pre-round screen heading into the event, and the first thing that I will always do before I start any event is I will always go to the settings and full course, which that'll give me basically excuse me, a little heads up. So as you can see as well, just as we go down, you can indeed see that consumable golf balls are prohibited. So whether I like to or not, I have to play with the default ball. But here now in the conditions, I'm looking at what has been set up for the event, and as you can see, it was medium winds and everything was set to default. So keep that in mind with the medium winds, because towards the end of the video, at the end of the round, I do want to go over that again, which can or might not be important to you. It all depends, but it can help. But basically now I have an idea of what I'm going to be faced with. Unfortunately, with everything being default, I don't know, unless I've played the course before, I don't know what the course conditions are at default that the designer set them to. So I've got to get a feel for that as I'm progressing through the round. But straight away off the tee now, I kind of play very fast. I was trying to play sort of slow-ish for this video in this one. But basically what I do is I always come into every round, whether it's casual, society, or very, very rare occasion that I do play matchmaking or anything like that, or even if I'm just playing alongside with a few people, just casual mess around, is I always go into every single round with the mindset of play every hole for par. The reason why I do that, especially in competitive societies and stuff, so say TGC tours, is because if you're going into a round with the mindset, you already know before even starting that there's going to be low scores, which I'm going to touch on that now in a second about the scores. But you already know that there's going to be low scores, so straight away you've got the mindset, now I've got to go birdie, 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 birdie all the way through the round, or as much as possible through the round. But that can put more pressure onto you, and can in turn then lead to more mistakes, leading to more bogeys, double bogeys, triple bogeys. It still happens to me the odd time. I'm not saying that this is going to be the holy grail video of making you shoot 15, 16 under par every single round. As I said at the start of the video, you're still going to have your bad days, still going to have your bad rounds and such, where things just don't go right. Sometimes it's just down to the course. It might be just yourself, you're just having a bit of an off day. But if you go into a round with the mindset of play every hole for par, as you can see, I'm here in the rough now, hit a terrible second shot. First shot. We're on the second hole. But I'm not letting that get into my head, because I'm, as I say, mindset play for par. And you take pressure off yourself with that sort of mindset. And then when the birdies do come, it's a bonus. And you should hopefully as well find yourself you'll actually get more birdies, because you're not pressuring yourself to get birdies or eagles if it's a par 5. As I mentioned there about the scores, yeah, your main objective, before I do go on to that, your main objective is basically to just keep bogeys off the scorecard completely, or at least down to a minimum, because regardless of how good a player is, they're going to happen. it's the way it's the game of golf. It's going to happen regardless. Whether you could be having the best round of your life, and then somewhere on the back nine, you just go and get a bogey or a double bogey. And the thing is to just not let that get into your head. Especially if it happens early in a round. Do not let any sort of bogey or anything like that get into your head, because there's plenty more holes to pull those shots back. Pull that shot or multiple shots that you dropped back. So yeah, just play for par on every single hole. Now, when it comes to the scores themselves, so again, I'm using TGC Tours as an example because that's where you will see a lot of top tier players, as well as other societies as well. And I just see it regularly about people going on about, oh, this is ridiculous, like 17 under for a round and such. So using the likes of TGC Tours, I'm currently this season on CCA. I completely and utterly crap the bed when it was the Q school. I was rushing myself through that. But otherwise, I've always been on what is now called, like it used to be the real world names, but what is now called either the Kinetic, the Elite, or Platinum. I've been on all of them, and obviously, higher up you go, the better the player, the better the players are. But if you're in the likes of, say, CCA, never look while you're playing around. Even in a normal society, I never look at the little leaderboard that comes up in between holes. So you'll see now in a moment when I should drop this putt, I think. If I remember correct, I do. So as you'll see now, we're going to have the transition between holes. So there's a little scorecard there. I got the birdie. Right now, what I'd be doing is I'm looking away from the screen and I'm just spamming X on the controller to get to the next hole. And once I see my peripheral vision, as you can see the leaderboard there, once it goes to black and then comes back in, then I start looking at the screen again. I never look at anybody's scores, because if I look at scores, especially in the, like, again, I'm just using TGC Tours because that's a very, very competitive society. If I'm looking at those scores, all of a sudden I want to chase those scores. And again, as I say, with the mindset of going in for par, if you want to get birdie every hole and you're seeing those scores, again, that's adding to the pressure, and it's going to lead to more errors. Again, here I am in the bunker. I'm still going to do, as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to do a video specifically on bunker shots and how I approach them. But a quick one is basically I just go to the second line behind the pin. I adjust the attack angle all the way down, nothing else, adjust slightly, and just hit it out. And ball should spin. Carried on a little bit far there. I think, if I remember correct, I just slightly overhit that. But generally, you should leave yourself with a reasonable distance for a putt. And yeah, I did miss this one, but yeah, that's what I say. Just now, as you can see, actually, yes, I just picked up a bogey there, so it is going to happen. But as you can see, like, that's the fifth hole. So I've dropped back to 3 under from 4 under. I still don't know. Apparently, up the top, I'm tied for 5th. I can see it now as I'm recording, but when I was playing, I had no idea what the other people were shooting. So yeah, that is a very big thing. Just to take a bit of pressure off yourself, and you should hopefully find yourself shooting a little bit better, is just do not pay attention. Well, I can't stress it enough. Just do not pay attention to what other people are shooting. Ignore their scores. You're out on the course. It's your round of golf. Don't mind anybody else, regardless of how competitive you are. To move on to actually the game, the shots themselves and approaching each hole, what a lot of designers will do is they'll give you options. I did see it with some top designers, like, so say Arctic Fury, B101, Canuck and such. You'll notice that if, like, say for example, like split fairways, they've done that, and they give you multiple options depending on the conditions. So always have a look at what's going to be the best play for the situation that I'm faced with in terms of the conditions. Is it going to be better to, say, if it's a split fairway, go down the left side or go down the right side? If there's something in the middle, what's going to give me the best line of attack into the green? And then the same for your approach shots. Have a look, see what room you're working with into the green, and with the pre-round stuff you have in your mind as to how the ball is going to react. So one thing that I want to throw in really quickly as well is I've seen a number of times from people saying that it's nearly impossible to get a default ball to stop, to get it to check up quick, and it's not true. Even with firm fast greens, you can still get that ball to check up. It's just all about how well you execute it. and getting a feel for it. Obviously, as you adjust your loft and you adjust your spin rate and stuff, your attack angle, you're going to make the shot more and more increasingly difficult. You're going to see that the swing line and the perfect tempo zone, you're going to see that all squeeze right in, and you've straight away just made the shot more difficult. So I'm just trying to think now. Yeah, when it comes to, if you don't know, like, I mean, you've been with the franchise for a long time. Like I say, I've been with it since the golf club, the original one. But maybe you only joined back in 2K21. Maybe 2K23 is your very first game in the franchise. So if you don't know how to adjust for elevation, what we do is, you can see here, this shot is up 22 feet. So I'd round that to 21, because you divide your elevation by 3, and then if it's uphill, you add it onto the distance to the pin. If it's downhill, take it away. So the order of things that I will do for the shots is, I will look at the distance. Well, first off, what I do actually is, I'll have a quick glance at what my lie is like. So just hitting L1 or left bumper if you're on Xbox, or using a controller on PC. Just get a look at the lie of the ball. Then I'll zoom down the green. I'll have a look at the room that I'm working with, and I'm working out as I'm doing that. I'll see what the distance to the pin is, what the elevation is, and I'll add, subtract accordingly. And then the final thing that I do is look at the wind. The reason why I always leave the wind until last, and always double check it right before I'm going to swing, many times I've been caught out myself where the wind can change. So you might hit the perfect shot where, if you'd set it up for everything, and then as you go to hit it, you didn't notice that the wind has slightly changed angle, or sometimes it's done a complete 180. Like here, just off the tee here, we had a slightly angled headwind, but there might be certain times where the wind will, if you're not paying attention, you're taking your time with your shots. That's another thing, is to take your time. Is the wind can just suddenly shift on you. It might turn 45 degrees or something like that. Or 90 degrees. It might turn 180 degrees and all of a sudden become a tailwind. And then all of a sudden you're flying the green. You're like, what in the hell? That should have been perfect. Everything was set up, but you didn't realize the wind. So always leave your wind until last. So as you can see, look, I'm going bunker, and do I make the bunker here? I think I do. No, just shy. But I'm having a bit of a nightmare hole here. But going back to earlier, I'm playing for par. So I can hopefully get on here and scramble the par. If I do pick up a bogey, I'm just going to brush it off. It's in the past, forget about it. Still got another 9 holes in the back 9 to play. And but I got a good shot into the green, close into the hole there, to get away with the par. Let me see. When it comes to putting, I'm not gonna start talking detail about the putting as well, because I'm not doing live commentary. But I will leave a description for. I have 2 putting videos from 2K21. I have putting videos from the Golf Club 2 and the Golf Club 2019 as well. They're all still relevant. I'll leave links to the 2 from that I did in 2K21. I'll leave those down in the description if you want to see in detail how I tackle my putts. As I say, they're quite reliable. Once you get one of them, is kind of tricky to get used to. That's the one that you'll regularly see me use in videos. There's another one that I've been using since the Golf Club 2. The main one that I've been using since 2019. But yeah, both very consistent. So do go and check them out if you are struggling a little bit with your putting. So another thing before I do forget actually as well, to not worry too much about is, again, it does not matter what swing difficulty you're on, what assist you're using, whatnot. Again, as you can see, I'm playing on master swing, but again, it doesn't matter if you're playing on pro-am or anything like that. Don't worry too much about how straight your swing line is. You should see plenty of examples throughout this video of where my swing line is just not good at all. It's not the best, but also as well, your timing. Timing is a little bit more important. Try to get a feel, a rhythm where you're a little bit more consistent. What I try to aim for is, instead of going for perfects all the time, I try to get myself into a rhythm where I'm either going to be just slightly fast or slightly slow. So you can see there, I'm slightly fast, but I've also pushed it. It's not the neatest of swing lines. Yes, the ball did go off to the side, off to the right, just off the green, but I'm still gonna, well, par 5, hopefully get up and down for a birdie, which I just chipped it on there, ran a little bit longer. I didn't actually add spin on that. I will also do a video on chipping as well, how I approach my chip shots. But again, yeah, that was attacking that green there on a par 5, attacking it in 2. Which is actually going to lead me, which I didn't need to, which is going to lead me on to the next one, which is with your approach shots, always weigh, even actually to be honest, with your tee shots as well, every shot, always weigh up your risk and reward. Like with the likes of par 5s, just because it might be reachable, always have a look all around to see what has the designer put on the course to make me question whether or not it's going to be worth going for it in 2. It might be well reachable, but are there a lot of bunkers? Is there water in play? Now, you may be like me, where it's like I'm magnetized to water. It's like I really have to focus on, if the water's to the right, I intentionally do a fast. Sometimes it'll be too fast, I'll hook it to the left. If it's on the left, I'll intentionally try to get it slow. But always weigh up your risk reward. Is it worth going for it? And even with any approach shot, whether it's into the green, whether it's your second or third shot going into a par 5, you're going into a par 4, or it's a par 3, is the pin attackable? You will see a lot of times where a pin location might be tucked in behind a green side, a front side bunker, or something like that, or close to a bunker, where it might be better off to just go for the middle of the green and just get yourself out of there with par. Those instances, like basically, it's going to be a par is birdie kind of play. But yeah, it's just basically weigh up the risk reward, because if you try and gamble too much, you push your luck. Again, going back to earlier, you're not in the mindset of playing for par. You take on that risk, you screw it up, and then before you know it, you want to throw your controller against the wall. It happens to me as well. I just get a little bit greedy. But always try and keep that in mind as well. Just weigh up your risk reward. Is that pin location attackable? How much room have I got to run up to the pin? Again, so the more common one would be, say, a kind of a lengthish sort of par 3, where the designer will tuck that pin in behind a greenside bunker or something like that, and where it's better to just go for the heart of the green, get yourself on there. Always look at your slopes on the green as well, because generally what I come across is what designers will do is they'll have the green feeding, if whether gentle or severe, down towards that location a lot of times. So sometimes it might be better just go for the middle of the green and let the ball filter its way down. Sometimes you might be still left with a bit of a lengthy putt, but other times it can work out and you could still get away with birdie. But again, if you're just getting on for par, just keep the bogey off the scorecard for that hole, or for all those holes. Now, when it comes to the wind, actually, for setting up your shots, there's different ways that you can do it. Again, as I said, I always leave the wind until last. I'll adjust everything else. I'll actually go back onto another way that I set up my shots. I was just looking at the lie grid there at the feet when adjusting the aim. I'll go onto that now in a second. But what I do generally for the wind, usually what people will do is it's anywhere from, say if it's a 10 mile per hour wind, you're talking, say, 1 to 1.5 grid squares away from the pin per mile per hour for each mile per hour of the wind. So you'd go out at that amount of grid squares accordingly. But generally what I do, I'll be able to describe it a little bit better actually as we're going for the next approach shot. But it's basically you'll see the little flag marker over the pin, so as you can see it there, just off in the distance, jumping up and down in the background. And what I do is, right, so we took our tee shot, hit a little bit slow, reasonably quite a straight swing line, a little bit off to the right, but we're nicely in the fairway. So what I do, we've got a 7 mile per hour slightly angled wind. I'm looking in, checking everything else out, checking the ball, the lie at the feet, and I'm adjusting out, and I'm watching the flag marker, the way that it drops, drops down as you move out. Now I didn't put it, I actually hit it fast there, so it pulled around more to the left, but it's still checked up fairly quick for me with the way that the wind was basically a headwind. But basically what I do is I'm watching that marker, and I just move it out until it stops moving. Now obviously the stronger the wind, the more you're going to have to go out, and also then with the lie of the ball at your feet. So before I do forget about it, the way that I do with the ball lie, the other way apart from the green, the lie grid at your feet, is I'll actually look at the club head. And what I want you to do is the next time the ball is somewhat above or below the feet, is have a look at your club head when you're aimed dead at the pin, and look at what way the club head is facing. And it's difficult to describe until you actually try it. But basically just we just say the ball is slightly above your feet, so you're going to need to adjust out to the right. Say there's no wind whatsoever. Perfect scenario, completely calm, and the ball is above your feet. Is look at the club head and have a look at the way that it's facing and the trajectory that it looks like it's going to take to you. And adjust out until basically the club head looks like it's actually going to send the ball directly towards the hole. It's, as I say, I'll try and actually do it in a live commentary video. It's a bit of a difficult one to describe, but hopefully I described it fairly well. And I'm trying to think now, as we're approaching the end of the round, if there's anything else that I can think of. If there is, after I finish recording, I'll throw it into another video. But one thing that I can stress is you're your own worst enemy out on the course. Basically, the only rival that you want on the course is not anybody else's score. It's just you and your mindset and your course management. Basically, it's all about course management. So we're on the 17th hole now at the moment. I'm in first place. Even if I glance up to see the score and that I'm in first place, I know I'm in first place, but I'm not gonna pull back on the accelerator and just take it easy. I'm still gonna play for par, but I'm also not gonna be aggressive and keep trying to get birdies. I don't know how far behind the other people are. I don't know if they're nipping at my heels or if I've got like a 5 or 6 shot lead over them. I genuinely, when I was playing this, and it's the same with every round, I have absolutely no clue as to what their scores are. To be honest, actually, while doing this commentary, I haven't even been looking, so I don't even know what kind of lead I have. I'll actually have a look now in a second. But here, that's kind of actually what you just saw there, where I was zipping the camera back and forth from the pin to my golfer. That's basically, I was having a look. That's my other putting method, is how I kind of trace out the ball, the path the ball is going to take. Another quick thing which I just noticed as well, one thing that I do not do for putts is I do not change the distance from the hole for the putt. I leave what the game is set up to be. I just adjust left and right accordingly. So as you can see, I've got a 2-shot lead coming onto the final hole. The others finished at 9 under par. But yeah, that's what I do. I never adjust the distance. It's very, very rare that I will do that. I also do that I don't adjust for certain shots, so say short chip shots or anything like that, but any other sort of shot that the game defaults me on, I'll always adjust it and manually change it myself, even if I do end up being exactly the same distance as what the game initially set me up for. Just because I found in 2K21, and kind of in this as well, that it doesn't actually work out the best. That you'll either come up short or you'll fly the green. It's just whatever way it's set up. So I always like to manually adjust the distance, just so I know that if I do screw it up, it's on me. It was my fault. I screwed up the shot, and it wasn't. I'm not blaming the game or anything like that. It can be still my fault, even if it was perfectly set up by the game. So just missed that putt. So so I'm going to finish off with par. Going to stay at 11 under. So this is what I was mentioning at the start of the video in the pre-round screen. What you'll see here, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm not looking at the scores because this is a 2-round event. Excuse me. I'll throw up the results, the overall result. But what I do is I do not go to advance. I click circle to go back. So that'd be B on the Xbox controller. If you're playing mouse and keyboard or PC, I have no idea what that key binding is. But now I go to play event. And I'm still not looking at the scores, still don't know, and I go into play again. And then what I do is, so I have an advanced warning of what I'm going to be faced with, is I go back up to full course and the settings, and I go down and I have a look. Wind is still the same. I think the direction has changed, but as you'll see, the green speed now says fast instead of default. So I know the fairways and the greens are still going to be as firm, the same firmness as what we just played, but now the green speed is going to be a bit faster. So what I'll do now is I will throw up, I'll throw up a screenshot of what the actual full result was. So here we are, just coming up the final putt on 18 in round 2, and as you can see, I'm 23 under par. I do drop this in for the birdie, finish it at 24 under par, and there's the scorecard. That's how I performed in the second round. with those fast greens, and yeah, pretty sure it was just the wind direction I think changed. So here, as you can see now, is just in the society play event itself, 11 under for the first round and then 13 under. So I ended up with a 1-shot lead. So I actually, just while I'm editing this video, doing the commentary, I actually had to go in and take a quick screenshot because I've forgotten to do it. So as you see, there's 14 hours left, and I've been holding, this event has been going now for a few days, close to a week. I think actually it is a week. So I've been pretty much holding the lead, this 1-shot lead now for the guts of a week. I don't know if anybody else is left to play, but happy enough with that result. So as you can see, everything that I've gone through in the video, hopefully I've covered everything, to be honest. But that's basically, that's what I do every single time I go onto this game. If you do actually have time, because one thing that I do myself personally is I do actually have a little warm-up round just to warm my thumb up on the stick, to be a little bit more consistent. I should have actually said that at the start of the video. But yeah, if you do, if time permitting, do a warm-up round, whether it's just in a casual society or something like that. But if before you go into any sort of competitive environment, just try and just warm yourself up, basically. So yeah, as I say, I hope I did cover everything in the video. I'm pretty sure I did anyway. But if I didn't, if I didn't, do feel free to let me know down below in the comments. If you feel it, you'd like me to go into a bit more detail on anything in particular. As I say, I'm going to do a video specifically for splash shots and chip shots. Hopefully that'll be coming out fairly soon. And then I think I was planning to do one as well for pitch shots and flop shots. I may or may not still do that, but I do want to do one dedicated specifically to splash shots in particular, but also chip shots. So yeah, say if there's anything you think you'd like me to go into a little bit more detail on, do let me know down below, and I can do that in another video, even if it's a live commentary playthrough or something like that. But yeah, that's where we're going to leave this video. So thank you all very much for watching and making it this far. I hope you did enjoy it. I hope you found it useful, and hopefully it does help you improve your scores. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, do not forget to drop it a like, and again, drop your thoughts down below. If you have not done so already, or you are just brand new to the channel, do consider subscribing, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Until then, take care, have yourselves a good one, and bye for now.